Hi everyone, welcome back to Upside Down Data. Today I want to talk about strange things that are afoot with Bitcoin and ETH dominance. If you like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like and follow us on Twitter. Put a lot of updates about our indicators and more over there. So one of the things that's been notable with this recent crash that we've seen in crypto, with Bitcoin falling down to 20K, is that in most crypto crashes, and especially in most crypto bear markets, what you expect to see is altcoins getting hammered way harder than Bitcoin every leg down, right? If Bitcoin capitulates 10%, you expect altcoins to be capitulating 20% or 30%, for example. You expect the riskier assets, and altcoins are generally considered riskier assets in crypto, to be hit more in those drawdowns than something like Bitcoin. But what's interesting about what we see here with Bitcoin dominance is we actually see a sign that the opposite happened, that Bitcoin, in this case, got slammed harder than the rest of the crypto market, that it disproportionately got hammered. Its percentage of the market share of the crypto space has gotten fallen off of a cliff. So we're showing you Bitcoin dominance right here. And again, basically this is just the market cap of Bitcoin divided by the entire crypto market's market cap. So just what percentage of the market cap is held by Bitcoin. And we've been in kind of this range for quite a while, really ever since the early 21, kind of ranging back and forth with Bitcoin dominance. And usually the way that this will work is that if you see Bitcoin dominance falling down, that usually means that altcoins are doing well. That's oftentimes in more bullish phases of the market, like coming out of July into September. And when you see Bitcoin dominance rising, that's usually more bearish times in these kind of corrective points in the market. But what's interesting about this right now is, this is certainly not a bullish time in the market. This is an incredibly bearish time that we're seeing right now. But yet Bitcoin dominance is falling down. Altcoins are outperforming. And that's interesting, that's strange, and that's not something you would really expect with the typical crypto downturn to see this happening. And the similar things actually happen with Ethereum. Flipping over to Ethereum dominance, we can see ETH dominance just falling off a cliff. Also, coming out of May and then towards the later half of June. If we just look at a measurement, since here when we had the CPI print back on the 10th, we can see that ETH dominance is down, almost 20%. It's down 17% in that time. And again, you wouldn't expect this. So this is, the market cap of ETH relative to other things. ETH being kind of considered the second most secure crypto asset, you might expect this to hold up better relative to the rest of the market in these downturns. It's been getting absolutely slaughtered relative to the rest of the market. And we can put this all together if what I've shown you here on this chart is I've taken the Bitcoin market cap and the ETH market cap and added them together, and then divided those by the market cap of altcoins, actually. So now instead of comparing this to the total crypto space, we're comparing those two assets to what market cap is being held by altcoins. So this gives us a direct comparison. The idea being that, as this value would go up, that means that ETH and Bitcoin as a group combined are outperforming altcoins. When this value goes down, it means that altcoins are outperforming ETH and Bitcoin lumped together. And so what you'll see is that in these times when Bitcoin and Ethereum did outperform, altcoins quite a bit, like for example, in the very beginning of the bull run in late 2020, when really Bitcoin went insane before altcoins really moved at all, you'll see this increasing. That was, in this case, largely being driven by Bitcoin just outperforming the market. But then when you see this big drop down, coming from January 21 into May of 21, that's, during pretty much that whole bullish kind of time in the market when altcoins then went ripping like crazy and Bitcoin really slowed down at that point. I've been kind of in this lower range here ever since. But again, what we see with this recent sell-off, we see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum. Them, in this case, losing more market share more rapidly than the altcoins, the altcoins, the other coins in the crypto space. So again, this is strange. You wouldn't expect this normally. Normally, in a bearish time, you'd expect Bitcoin and Ethereum, their market share to be holding up better to the altcoin market share. You expect this to be gaining. You expect the altcoin market cap as a group to be falling to a greater degree than Bitcoin and Ethereum, or at a faster rate, which would then manifest a positive number. We're seeing the opposite. So what the heck's going on? What some people might look at this and just say, oh, well, this is a new paradigm, right? Like if we expect Bitcoin and Ethereum to be outperforming in these bearish times, we're actually seeing the opposite. Does that mean that they're actually not as safe as everyone's saying? That they're actually, it's possible for altcoins to be outperforming in these bearish times? Is it actually better to be holding altcoins right now than Bitcoin and Ethereum? Well, I would say not so fast with that assessment. I think there's some people who might try to make that assessment and say that this is, a breaking of the paradigm. I'm not convinced yet. And the reason I say this is that there's some pretty extreme black swan-ish type of events that are going on in the crypto space that I think actually can help explain what is going on across these charts, where we're seeing a drop in the dominance of Bitcoin and Ethereum when we wouldn't expect it, and them being outperformed by altcoins. And that is the unraveling to some degree that's happening with some big institutional players and companies in the crypto space. So the first one that I want to talk about is Three Arrows Capital. So Three Arrows is a hedge fund. Basically, they at one point had $10 billion of assets under management, so a very large player. And they were very heavily exposed in the Ethereum network, and then they also had a lot of exposure to Bitcoin. And what's going on with Three Arrows is that it's looking more and more like they're insolvent. It's looking more and more like they have lost too much money. They can't repay the loans they had taken out, because that's one of the things these funds do is they lever themselves, they leverage up. And in this case, when the market really turned against them, they can't meet their margin calls. And so there's all sorts of stories going on right now where they're not meeting margin calls, they're getting liquidated in massive quantities. And that liquidation has been, partly at least, been liquidating Bitcoin and Ethereum. They had put that up as collateral. That is now getting liquidated. And so there's this huge sell pressure that's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum right now that in some ways it's forced. It's forced selling of those assets. And it was likely that they used those as their collateral to a greater degree than they use any altcoins. And that might be partly why we're seeing this type of action here, where there's all this forced selling of Ethereum and Bitcoin really tanking their price, whereas there isn't so much forced selling in the altcoin markets because there wasn't as much of that put up as collateral. And so really the selling that we're seeing in altcoin markets is just, other market players who are selling off, in the market fear, or just other people who had, potentially some leverage that they got liquidated on. But it's not this kind of forced selling that we're seeing from this kind of big fund, most likely. And this is one area where I think probably is going into why we're seeing Bitcoin getting hammered so horribly. The other thing also that's, similar in some ways is the Celsius situation was probably adding to this as well. And so Joe had made a video about this earlier on. Recommend going checking that out. But, Celsius, also rumors are going around that it is, if not insolvent, kind of on the verge of being insolvent. And they were having to do a lot of forced selling to be able to try to, either pay off some of their debt. They also were trying to top up some of their margin to not get liquidated. And so it's just overall not a great time. There's been a lot of these companies that just, to remain solvent, have had to dump assets, have had to dump, Bitcoin and Ethereum in no small part, and probably much larger quantities of Bitcoin and Ethereum in dollar terms than any kind of altcoin. And so, in my opinion, that's what's going on here. So if we think about this then, in terms of are altcoins actually safer right now than Bitcoin and Ethereum, I don't think so. And the way that I look at this, this is my interpretation, is I actually see altcoins being kind of risky right now, especially risky right now to some degree, because what's happened is the market has fallen away from them due to all the forced selling with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And unless Bitcoin and Ethereum can kind of bounce back, kind of come back into parity, the next shoe to drop that's not carried by just a bunch of forced selling within these various particular markets in Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's a more general sell-off in the crypto space. I'd imagine altcoins to get absolutely slaughtered and come back more into parity of where we'd expect them to be in this type of market condition, this type of environment. I'd expect this to start rocketing back up to the upside, which would mean that in a sell-off, Bitcoin and Ethereum would probably be falling, but then altcoins, you can imagine how much further they'd have to be selling off to get back up to these types of levels. Now, obviously, who knows if that's actually what would happen, and you should make your own opinion of what this data means. But for me, that's the way I'm looking at it. I don't think that altcoins have really become any less risky. I just think that there's this kind of extreme circumstance that's crashed Bitcoin and Ethereum, and altcoins are kind of now hanging out in kind of up in thin air to some degree. And I do think that if there's some other shoe that drops that crashes crypto again, they're going to be the ones that get absolutely slaughtered, and we'll see a rebound of this value shooting back up to the upside. So, it's a crazy market right now. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens. It's one of those things where I think it's really hard to make any solid predictions what's gonna happen. And, downside certainly could happen. If it does, I expect altcoins to be, and personally I expect them to really take a lot of the beating in that type of situation. But, who knows? And we don't really know yet the degree to the contagion of the Three Arrows, collapse. There is, some news breaking of other firms that had, connections with Three Arrows Capital now having to kind of do their own kind of things to try to mitigate that exposure, that likely loss that they suffered with Three Arrows Capital becoming insolvent. We'll have to see how far this contagion goes to really know how far we're going to have to keep on dumping, and if there's going to be more forced selling that emerges for, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or just other areas of crypto. But it's wild times. This is the point in bear markets, when things get this bloody, where things start to break. And, historically in previous bear markets, that's oftentimes been near the bottom. But the problem here is that, this isn't just something internal to crypto. This is the macro environment. The stock market got absolutely slaughtered again today, following the Fed FOMC meeting yesterday, where there was a brief, respite in the prices, a very brief rally before we just commenced selling off again. And so we're in this environment that's so hostile to risk assets that the normal indicators of a bottom, it's unclear if they're going to be carried true again, or if we have quite a bit further to fall. But this is something I'm going to watch. And the main point I wanted to get across with this video is that what we're seeing here is partially kind of artificial to some degree. It's forced selling. It's not, normal kind of market behavior, decisions that are being made that make Bitcoin and Ethereum particularly sell off this way. But I just want to make this to put out that idea that this doesn't necessarily mean that altcoins are lower risk than Bitcoin and Ethereum, which some people might be looking at this data and trying to claim. I personally disagree, but again, you should make your own opinion. All right, if you like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and follow us on Twitter. But a lot of updates, better indicators, and more over there.